Hey, welcome back. This is episode 68 of Vision is Better, and for the next couple episodes, we're asking one big question. A question I've been asked many different times in many different ways, most recently by Richard Rawlings, who asked, how do you get known? How do you get noticed? We live in a culture that not only hopes, but expects on some level to get noticed. And I don't think, despite my bitching about social media, that this is necessarily a bad thing. If you do work you believe in, it makes total sense that you would want to find an audience for that work. But that very desire for an audience and the pursuit of it can sabotage our efforts and our hopes. In this episode, I want to look at the big picture and see if we can get a little deeper perspective on this issue. In the next episode of Vision is Better, I want to get super practical and talk about ways in which you can get your work in front of an audience. And in the final of 3, I want to tell you my story, how I got where I am, wherever the hell that is. And I'll tell you what I would have done differently.
I'm photographer David duChemin, and this is Vision is Better, a sometimes weekly podcast about the craft and art of photography. Welcome here.
Okay, first, it's entirely possible that too many photographers are looking to get known for great work before they are really making great work. As a result, they aren't making the great work for which they would then get known. Getting known is a byproduct. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be crazy intentional about it. But it would be unfair if I didn't begin by suggesting we take Steve Martin's advice seriously. You've got to be so good that they can't ignore you. Of course, that's only part of the story and what it means for each of us to be so good they can't ignore us and to be still growing. And as an artist, is a personal thing. That will be sort of something you can only judge on a one-to-one basis. But it is the first part of all this, and it matters. You might need to forget this whole idea of getting known for now and work on your craft. We live in a culture of instant everything, and getting known has probably never been so important to us. But I think we could be aiming at the wrong thing. You've got to aim first at doing your best work, not getting known. If you're looking for fans before you look for critics, that's a good sign you've probably got an opportunity to get way better at what you do before you start looking for fans. My suggestion, be relentless about seeking criticism. Be open to the idea that your best work is ahead of you. Take advantage of opportunities to have your images reviewed or critiqued by people you respect, people who have skin in the game and have a diversity of experiences. Soak that stuff up. Be more concerned about learning and mastering your craft. The first step to finding an audience of whatever size for your work is being relentless about making that work as strong as possible. And that will always be your first step every day for the rest of your life or for as long as you pursue this craft. The second thing I'd like to suggest is coffee. The second thing I'd like to suggest is that we're asking an incomplete question, because when you ask, how do I get known? My first question is, known for what? If your reply is, well, for my photographs, stupid, then you aren't digging deep enough. Everyone wants to get known, as if that means anything on its own. What we're talking about here is audience, and the question, reframed, might be better expressed this way. How do I get an audience? That question can only be answered when you know what it is you want to say, because they're linked. Let that sink in a little bit. I'm going to be way more practical about these things in the next episode. For now, ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? And be as specific as possible. What kind of photographs, what kind of stories or messaging or ideas do you want to put forward? Do you want to put into the world and eventually be known for? What do you want to give to the world? I know you probably think that you're the exception, the one person that can just shoot everything so well that focusing your work isn't important, but it is, and you aren't. And so knowing what you want to be known for is going to require some focus. You cannot be known for everything. The third idea I think we need to consider is this: why? Why is this even a concern for you? Why are you asking the question? Now, I'm not asking this facetiously or rhetorically. I actually want to know, and I want you to dig on this. Because unless you know what you're trying to accomplish, you won't really know how to get there. For me, it's really important that I have an audience, but the size of that audience isn't that important, though it's hard not to get discouraged when I compare myself to others who have millions of followers. I don't want a large audience of disengaged people. That's completely meaningless to me. And because I know this, it helps me determine how I do what I do. For example, I'm strongly opposed to any tactics that would increase my follower count simply to grow my numbers. I could buy my way to 1 million followers. Much of Instagram already does that. But that's meaningless to me because I do this for the engagement, for the connection, and followers that aren't invested won't engage. I have nothing to contribute to their lives, and I'd rather spend the energy on real people like you and real life. I have no desire to leverage my social media following for sponsorship, so I don't need big inflated numbers. Now, if you do want that, then there are ways, but either way, you need to know what you're trying to accomplish. Fame for fame's sake doesn't interest me. Being invited in some small way into the lives of others, making their lives richer, that's meaningful to me. That's what I want. So know ahead of time if you want numbers for numbers' sake or if you want engagement. I will take engagement anytime over numbers. So what do you want? Is it just to get famous for the sake of being known by a bunch of strangers? I can't help you with that. Some people make sex tapes. But if you want to get known for something of substance because you have ideas to share or something to give to the world, then we've got something to work with. And if you're thinking, man, I just want to get a lot of followers so I can make a ton of money, then I really can't help with that. I have no problem with admitting you want to make money. Money can be a beautiful thing that makes a lot of beautiful things possible. But in my worldview, that only happens as a secondary thing. Once you have something of value to deliver, some way to serve the people you hope will become your audience. Don't put the cart before the horse. Look, do me a favor. Go get a drink, pour the coffee, pull out your notebook, and before you move on to the next episode, ask yourself this. Write down some answers to these 3 questions. Number 1, why do I want an audience? To what end? What will having 20K or 1 million followers give you that you don't have now? What opportunities are you really actually looking for? It's probably not about the followers, but about what having those followers means to you, what that can give you, what opportunities it can make easier for you. So sit down and ask yourself that question. Second question, what do I want to be known for? So this is about your work. What do you want to put out into the world? Is it a specific kind of work? And are you doing that? This is the third question. Am I creating work right now that reflects that desire? Am I really making work that I could be known for? Is it really as good as I think it is? And be relentless about this. Be unflinching when you look at your work and be honest enough to say, no, I'm not ready yet. Maybe I need another year. You have one shot at making a first impression. Don't rush it. Until you think about these 3 questions, nothing I discuss in episode 69 is going to make a bit of difference. You're asking me about destination, how you get there. But unless you're really specific about that destination, then no amount of strategy in the world is going to help. We live in a time when getting known, whatever that means to you in terms of scale, has never been easier. We have tools that no generation before us, for good or bad, has ever had access to. And with those tools come some incredible opportunities. But those tools will work way better if you figure out where you want to go and why. How you're going to use those tools is determined by what you want to use the tools for. Give that some thought. We'll talk about specifics in the next 2 episodes. Until then, if you like this show, please consider subscribing. And if you've got questions or thoughts about this topic, feel free to interact in the comments. Next week, I'll pull the names of 3 random folks who play well with others, and I'll send you a digital copy of my books, A Beautiful Anarchy and How to Feed a Starving Artist. Thanks for joining me. Remember, gear is good, but vision's better. We'll see you next time.